Hey gang, Joyce with Skipping Cast Farms here. What you're looking at is one of my worm bins. A couple weeks ago I got 1,000 worms from Mimi's Worms in Valdosta, Georgia. Awesome people to do business with. And I set up this bin in lines with her guidance in terms of soaking cardboard. I had some egg crate stuff. I did not have coconut coir. I had peat moss. That's what I used. I set this corner up over here. She used kale. I had used some homegrown, but you can't really see because it's getting eaten up. It's getting moldy. Some fresh comfrey leaves. They're getting kind of moldy now. And I covered them up with a little bit of dried peanut leaves. I made a homemade kind of worm chow using some corn flour, some cake mix, some eggshells, oyster shells for a little bit of carbon, calcium. I've got some coffee grounds that I got from a local coffee shop that I have not yet added. I've not added any additional feed at this point. When I come in, kind of what I'm looking at, I left the peat moss that they came in. I spread it over the top, and I'm kind of leaving it that way for a couple of reasons. Number one, that's how you want to do it when they first come in, so they can, at their convenience, move. Oh, I thought it was a worm. It's a stick. They can move from the medium they came in down into the worm bin. For me, I don't have a fancy lid. I took some packing paper, folded it to size, and folded it over, and that's what I'm using instead of a jute cover. One of the reasons I kind of like this is you can see, well, you may not be able to see on camera, but in my mind's eye, I can see here where the peat moss is next to the cardboard. The cardboard's a little dry, and the peat moss, but the peat moss is still a little dark. Over here, it's real light and fluffy. But if you dig down, it's moist. And if I dig down, there'll be some earthworms in here. I don't want to disturb them. I have a seed tray, a seed heating pad here that the top bin is sitting on top of. There's about an inch gap between the top of the bottom bin and the bottom of the top bin. This tray, this heating pad is set for about 70 degrees. And so what I'm finding for me, for right now, there's still some worm chow here. There's still some food here in this corner. And I'm kind of checking. When I come in and check, I'll check a corner. I'll make sure it's good and moist. And it's maintaining pretty good moisture throughout. I'm not going to dig in the middle, because that's the middle right there in the bottom is where I expect to find most of my worms. But it's going to dry out along the top and the edges first. The one thing I do not want it to do is to get too wet. I've seen a couple of roly-polies in here. I don't right now. There's no other flies or anything else in here. That looks real good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spritz the top of this. I don't know if you'll be able to see. Now the water bottle's right here. I've got a radiant heater right here, so it's staying 50 to 65 degrees in here, pretty much regardless of what's going on outside, right here by the worm bins. So it's a little dry. You can see that cardboard getting darker. You can see the egg crate getting darker. I'm just getting enough to get it damp. I'm not really soaking it. And the same thing is true here with the peat moss. You can see it's not soaked, but it is wet, and it is lighter on this side than it is on this side. So if I get it just a little glistening wet across the top, then I know that it's not going to be dried out all the way underneath. And so it has been a bit warmer here the last few days. So I'm done with this worm bin. Now, if I had both my hands, I'd probably look a little closer. And disturb the worms a little bit more. But why? They know what they want. So that's essentially it. The temperature probe is here. The temperature right now, it's showing 73 degrees. I think the thermostat on this is set for 72. But it was 70 degrees outside yesterday here, or just about. And it's still getting the radiant heat. So that heater is still turned on. I've got it. It doesn't have a thermostat, but as long as it's low 70s, I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to change that at all. One thing I will do, though, that I haven't done, and I'll do that now since it's going to be warm for another day or two, I'm just going to spray a little bit of water on that paper. And that'll just encourage it from taking the moisture out of that peat moss just a little bit. So then, because of the setup that I have here, in order to check the other bin, I have to move this one, and I set it over here, and then I'll do the same thing with the other bin. Now, the other bin does not have a, you can see, I don't know if you can see, let me try and hold this a little differently. And like I said, the light's not real good in here. But you can see this white spot right there, that's a temperature gauge. And that's probably about 75, 77. And that seed heating mat is almost airtight, but it's not. It's not airtight on either end here, and it curves on the back, and so there's a gap here, and the worms aren't going to need a bunch of air. They just need a little bit. So when I'm coming in and checking them each day, whoops, sorry about that. When I'm coming in and check them each day, they're not in any way, shape, or form in danger of asphyxiation, because you can see there's a gap right here in the handle. Or I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's a gap, an indentation right here that goes down and across to here, and so that mat is not airtight at either end. So it works. It's what I had. It's working fine. You just have to kind of be patient and think about what you're doing and try and think from the perspective of nature. And in this case, I guess I think pretty good like a worm, because they sure do seem to be happy. And with that, gang, I will wish you blessings for the day, and no matter what you do, just keep chasing the dream.